Hello, beautiful friends. All right. So, I have been getting messages all day long and have been in contemplations all day long around the dynamic between the masculine and feminine, specifically in the physical, where communication is happening, but there's a lack of follow through. So it's like the right heart energy is there. There's this beautiful exchange happening. However, when it comes to actively activating plans, things fall through. So it's like things stay in the idea realm, and then the way they get real, distance starts to happen. So I was doing some study around this with the cards with myself, and I also worked with the Lady of Shalott, which is a good friend of mine who does incredible readings and healings. I will put her up there so you can go check out her channel. And we did some work together. And I have a bunch of things that I want to bring through. So as far as the cards that I directly have in front of me, I also have a bunch of notes as the things I want to cover, which is a new format. Usually I just kind of channel and let things move, but I wanted to be more structured about this, because even as I was talking with her, I was having trouble finding the language to put this into action as it relates around, because it does relate to communication too. It also might just be a sense of like something that you energetically feel, but that never lands or grounds. So I'm really looking at the energy of where this disconnect is and why it's happening. So we're going to do this today from the perspective of the masculine and the feminine. And I'm going to start with the feminine here, where we have the Seven of Challenges as the internal energies, and the external energies looks like the Three of Swords. Okay, so what this is saying to me here is something that's blocked communication is in the past, communication hasn't been safe. The masculine makes an error, and there's an explosive energy that comes out. So I know that I'm guilty of this, where you emotionally overload your partners, your beloved, your friends, because there's been so much pent-up resentment. Now, I do think that these cards coming up aren't in the usual way of like predicting something ominous is on the way. It's actually a reflection of like, wow, there were some deceptive energies that were happening once long time ago, and those freaking hurt, and I was mad. So the feminine is right now is having to deal with her feelings around how she was hurt and how that impacted her. Now, what came up for the masculine in context of this is the Wizard and the Page of Pentacles. So what this is saying for me here is that the men are more ready to receive the error of their ways, or energetically are starting to internally understand that they effed up. Right? And this isn't, there's no judgment here. This is just like, we've all been on a deep alchemical journey. I know for myself, I was walking through the dense, dark shadows, the pits of hell. And I was doing that with the masculine until the point where I had to stay away because I can't be down there anymore. And, so, you know, that was a tough time. Now we're up in the light, and the feminine more is holding a frequency more of this new earth. It's more of the union. It's more of like, actually, I don't have to hold space for that anymore. However, there's still some damage from the time that she was holding space. And I say this for myself, and I say it for the other partnerships and things that I have been witness to of those of us who are on the sacred union path. So the Page of Pentacles comes forth here is because he wants to make it right. The masculine wants to soothe these distortions, these tricks, all of these things that like have gone on. Now, what's interesting about the feminine cards is they're both swords. So at this point, it feels like mental energy that's now kind of trapped. I know for myself, I've been doing EMDR, so a type of therapy to help release trauma. And earlier this week, I had all of my not all of my, that would be crazy, my brain would explode. But I had a moment where I felt my neural pathways open up, and I could feel my thoughts outside of my body. And I could witness all of these times that I've been hurt, I've been deceived, I've been abused, sexual trauma, all of these things kind of came flooding up at one time, and some were things I hadn't thought about in a really long time. Now, this is totally of this same energy, right? It hurts to witness those again. It's like, oh my gosh. And some of it for myself was like, I can't believe I let myself be treated that way. Now, what I'm finding is as we find love and compassion for ourselves within that journey and we release any stored energy, any suppressed memory, any suppressed emotion around it, the masculine is then starting to wake up and he wants to bring forward and make it right. Now, what's interesting is the internal energies and the external energies for the masculine, the shared union energies here, they're the same card. They're both Page of Pentacles. What's interesting internally, this card represents kind of like there's some temptation, there's looking at it, but it's also looking forward of like, how can I treat this different this time? How can I treat this as sacred? You know, this goes from like this carnal desire type of vibe to really like dancing on a sacred mandala and working to make it right. Now the shared energy between these two cards, between these two pairs is the Six of Cups, okay? So what's going on with the Six of Cups here? There is a nostalgic feeling here. There is a, there is a looking back and assessing, you know, how can we do things better? How can we show up as our childlike loving selves, but with the maturity of the adult? How can we be in emotional adulthood? And that sort of thing. Like, and where's the bridge between the two? And this is also like, you know, a kid can't take care of a puppy, but an adult can take care of a puppy and a dog. So we're all rescue dogs, and we got to figure out our way in these paths forward. Now, I want to relay some of the other notes that came up with the Lady of Shalott that felt important. Here. So I think an overall thing that kind of came through for both the masculine and the feminine perspective here was this dynamic of, are you safe? If I open up my heart and I start sharing these hurts and woes, can you receive them? And for the masculine, it's like, yeah, I can receive them, but you're not going to blame me for them, right? You're not going to criticize me for them. I can stand forward and accept the error of my ways, but I want to know that I'm not going to be attacked. So there's this mutual energy between the pairing that's like, are you safe? Are you safe? And there seems to be kind of a standstill going on in relation to this realm of safety. Now, something that's come up for me a lot is this, the areas where within this communication that we can kind of be blinded, where we're not really seeing the truth, where we both are having blind spots and we're not realizing that both parties are a part of the same perspective, right? So we both carry keys. The journey that the masculine went through for his distortions and that sort of thing, not saying that the feminine are perfect little angels. We both have all of these. Whenever I talk about external or internal union, it's one and the same. What we are working through different alchemical components, usually of the same thing brought through by different messages. Okay, so you know, as we're moving forward and we're healing these energies, you know, can we try to get clearer around our blind spots? And as those externally are presented, or what's being presented by our subconscious realm, can we accept where it is that we may have made error? Now, I know for myself in one dynamic that I'm exploring is that I saw that I shut down. Basically, like, they shut down, I shut down, and then I didn't open back up, and they kept trying to make connection, right? And they tried to make connection, and I was just like, I would roll my eyes at it. And I realized that, you know, while that time probably was exactly what it needed to be in the bigger picture of things, that I was closed down, and that I am still, in parts of me, holding resentment for the initial hurt, right? Now, this goes back to, like, the Atlantean and the Lemurian times of these original splits, right? Because that initial betrayal triggers that betrayal, and we don't need to do that type of betrayal anymore. We're not there. We want to come back together. We want to merge. In that, it's like we have to forgive ourselves and we have to forgive the other. You know, so I stayed in this eye-rolling energy for a long time before finally I got clear enough to be in my heart and just be like, that really hurt me, you know, and it hurt me because of this. And this pattern is like, has been destructive because of this. And then also, like, I'm being destructive with not allowing that pattern or components of that pattern because I am holding an expectation that's maybe not realistic. Okay. So something that also came up around this is, sometimes these energies are happening because the divine masculine legitimately isn't ready for it. Now, there is some, and the Lady of Shalott talked a little bit about this when we were sharing back and forth, is there's a lot of, it's like the feminine has been in this really hurt space and like has been needing to cultivate deeper self-love, and the masculine just keeps throwing himself into work. He needs to get more grounded and to make more money. Now, that is absolutely true, and we want our men to make more money. No, it's not really about that, but it's like we've almost thrown ourselves too much into those realms where we're not like crossing over and finding the balance of the grounding. It's like we need to be on purpose, and we need to be out in the world. It's not just like we're not all meant to just like sit around a stream all day. And this is true for myself. I was spending a lot of time not being active in sharing messages and sharing my truth and the ways that I'm supposed to be activating in the world, because I was sit back too far. And then at that same time, I was watching the masculine overwork and overwork and overwork. Now there's a balance of that. We have to be putting our energies out into the world and servicing our communities, because most of us have bigger missions than just playing small at home. And in that same thing, it's also really important to cultivate these internal energies. And this is what I think we're also seeing in the larger collective at hand. People are giving so much of themselves to these work jobs, and then they get fired, and then they have nothing, and their home relationships are crap because they've dedicated way too much money or too much time to trying to make money, and basically misplacing where their loyalty should be, which should be with our loved ones and inside of our homes, just like our loyalty should be with our own self-love instead of externally in unions. Okay, so there's always these reflections going on. Now, I know for myself, a lot has been coming up around this idea of like the fairy tales and the rom-coms. Okay, so the rom-coms, my friend put it, is very fifth house. I'm not super intelligent. I'm pretty dumb, actually. No, I'm not. I don't know a lot about, I don't retain a lot of information when it comes to astrology, but I love hearing about it. And, so the fifth house is very about like fun, love, and sex, right? And so this is the rom-com energy. There two people meet, and there's this passionate connection, and then basically all these circumstances get in the way, and it just won't work out until the universe steps in, and all these divine synchronicities start leading the two back to each other. And in the rom-com, then that leads to the love. In the fairy tale, we begin with love, but it's not very grounded, right? And it's usually not they show the external circumstances, the stepmothers and the scary forest and all of that. But really what we're working with in that is that these are the internal things that are being purified so that we can step greater into our world service versus like our internal service. Because when we come into divine union, we need both this, the fifth and the seventh house. We need both the love, the fun, the sex, the passion, and then we need the true love, the sacred marriage, and that of the fairy tales. So I know that this might feel a little ungrounded as I'm talking about it, because it's multidimensional, right? We're in a time where we have to realize that the fairy tales are truth to a point. We're also in a point, like most art is trying to bring us into some sort of reflection and understanding. The fairy tales specifically are magic books. So as we work with this component, we also have to merge the realities, so it's like, it's fun, the idea of the rom-com, and that we should be living that type of love story, but we also have to ground it in something real and to make these better, more evolved choices. Where else do I want to go with this? Where do I think is important? Okay, so in using those points as guideposts, let's say, we have to also get specific about where we're choosing fantasy over a grounded reality. Now, I didn't realize this until more recently, but I think the feminine gets really up here with it. She gets very whimsical because we are magical, and the masculine can get very down here with it. I know in at least most of my interactions, the masculine goes to the doom and gloom, where the feminine goes to like the, you know, ideal scenario, perfect world. And we have to meet in the middle because that's where the co-creation happens. It's not going to always be smooth sailing. But the feminine is actually holding the perspective of like, well, let's just get in the freaking boat and we'll figure it out as we go. And they both need to kind of have that energy of like, we are equipped to solve all problems together. So the medicine cards that I got around this of like, okay, well, where is this going? How are we moving forward? Is that I got Coca, which is foresight. Okay. So this for me was really about like the feminine, like pulling up the sword from the stone. You know, it's like the prophecy has happened. The divine feminine is rising. Truth is eminent and there's no more hiding, right? But in the same time, I can't tell if she's taking the sword out or putting it in. And it feels like both simultaneously, right? She's like, I've claimed the sword and now I'm grounding in new sorts of truth and new ways of moving forward. I don't know a ton about leopard energy here that's popping up. But I do feel that there is this this current of reading between the lines. The Lady of Shalott and I were talking about how, as like we were trying to read tea leaves earlier, and I haven't done much of that myself, but as a kid I used to just read the space in between leaves, similar to kind of seeing things in the clouds, right? Or what's the space in between the clouds telling you? So sometimes like that's the great mystery, and that's actually the space where like things are being created and that we don't always know. So I feel like that's kind of this leopard of like the foresight is just like holding the intention of the truth we're moving forward, but kind of still being in the mystery of what it is that we're doing. Now, what's lovely is the masculine energy in this is hibiscus, is joy. And I just put up my hummingbird feeder, and I have seen so many freaking hummingbirds today. It's been the greatest day because every time I see a hummingbird, I'm like, it's just automatic joy, right? So if we're combining the foresight with the joy, we're coming more into the presence. We're getting closer and closer to being present with the current energies as they're actively showing up for us, okay? Now, the shared energy here is the peaceful warrior, okay? What's beautiful about the peaceful warrior is this woman and this little badger, they're both smiling. This is milk thistle. And what I see as they're doing this is aggressive healing, right? The aggressive healer has moved forward into this component of, yes, it's safe. Like, it's safe. I need you to trust me so that we can move forward. And it's harder to trust, but I have felt such a huge current of the divine energy kind of moving in that it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to say yes. And I have to trust that we're both being guided by our hearts in this, and that's what's going to be opening. Now, what I do find for the masculine is that there might still be this component of them throwing themselves deeper into the work. Like, I got to do more healing. I got to work more. I got to make more money, this sort of thing. This is the time of day where my light keeps getting really weird. So I hope it's not weird for you. Not my actual light, but the light in the room. Maybe it's a metaphor, though. Who knows? Anyway, if I scoot my chair back, I should be good. Okay. I have conquered it. Okay, so what we're working with in this aggressive healing and Are You Safe is just trust me. The masculine keeps putting forward work. So is the feminine. We've done so much deep healing. And there comes a point where we've done so much deep healing that it's not that we're ever fully going to be healed, but we can't stay in the world of healing anymore. At some point, it's got to also be about the co-creation and the now. Okay, so and we both kind of got to wing it together versus winging it individually, because I think that there is still this separation energy. Now, I'm just going to take a quick look at these other cards that kind of came forward. So for the Divine Feminine, the combined, we have the reverse Six of Cups, the upright, the reverse Sun, and the between energy of the Four of Wands. So again, Four of Wands feels like a union energy. I really feel like these things are coming together. Now, the overall message and perspective that I'm getting is that, and this has come through in quite a few videos lately, is that we're really having to work in this surrender energy. And there's a lot of levels and layers to surrender, okay? I just want to look at masculine reverse 10 of Pentacles, reverse Queen of Cups, and then we have Ace of Cups as the shared energy. So, there wants to be union. I feel like more so than ever now, we are feeling this desire to merge. We're wanting to merge the idea realm into the physical, right? We're wanting to come out of the 3D reality and really go up to that 5D. We're wanting to leave the old earth and grid in this new earth, all right? But we're still active in this process. We're still figuring it out, and we all are. And the energies between the couples still indicate that like there wants to be a grounding to occur. There still needs to be new insights that open up, and both parties still need to be doing their work individually. So what I'm seeing with this is that we're really like stepping back, letting things take a little bit more time, marinating, but also knowing that the divine truth sometimes is taking active action. And I think that the feminine especially, like we're really creating this fresh start, this new beginning. And I think that the masculine wants it too, but both parties are not really sure of how that happens. Okay? So it's like the questions that we were asking earlier were like, how can I trust passion? When in the past, when I've followed that passion, it's led to heartbreak and betrayal. For the masculine, it's like, well, how can I trust that the follow through is going to be consistent, that there is going to be commitment, that there's this balance right now of when to attract and when to chase, when to choose and when to walk away, or when to choose to move forward and when to choose to walk away, when to give, when to receive. All right. So there's still some like conflict and confusion going on because we want to be together, but we don't know how right now. And I guess I'm talking now more from the third energy because we are finding this unity consciousness within us, and more people are stepping forward to recognize that. Okay. So the invitation here and the last cards I'm going to share is we got feminine evolution. Okay. And the crown chakra, the unlimited self for the masculine, okay? So both of these show some big expansive energies kind of moving through. The cards we drew here were the Eight of Air, the Coming Together, and the Master, all right? And the Coming Together, or the Master card, is like a guy like opening up his heart. So I really feel like masculines, if you're watching this video, that it is about like leaning into that heart energy, to that Ace of Cups rebirth. Lean into what it is that you're feeling, and don't resist by needing to pull back. You know, I think the invitation lately is to lean in to what feels uncomfortable, what feels different. And, you know, I know for myself that that's a real, like, there's a healing curve there, because it's like, well, I don't want to go back into that old way of being. Okay, so if I'm starting to feel anxious or nervous, like, how can I lean into trust? You know, how can I let that be the dominant energy? The shared card is this, which is red upside down, is surrender. Okay, so this is this hangman energy that keeps coming up. Okay, now this is right on point with the conclusion card here of the edge of evolution feels messy. Okay, so as we're in these surrender energies, and this came through the other day too, it's like trust and surrender, trust and surrender. So as we're in these surrender energies, it's like, at what point do you, like, the surrender is she had to get onto this, to these rings, and she had to start to play, even though she doesn't know how to play on them. All right, the surrender is just trusting of like, I'm being guided by my heart, I'm following my mission, you're being guided by your heart, you know, you feel magnetized to this, we have a shared mission, these things are coming up, now we just need to let go and discover what it is. And I do personally feel that the more we can communicate like what it is that's going on from this not like a non-judgmental perspective of like, okay, I hear this, but what is it that you really want? And how does that merge with this? You know, I will say this quote over and over again. It's from the movie My Old Ass. And it's just like, what is healthy love? Healthy love is freedom and safety all at once. And as more and more of these sacred marriages come together, we're going to start experiencing what that feels like. And I know that I'm feeling it even in my own body. Like, I was feeling really unsafe here on earth, like walking around, like I was still doing big, bold things, but I was holding and restricting so much of myself back because I was afraid to express the totality of my being. I was afraid to post videos like this. And I don't know why. It's not like people don't know that I do that, but it's like, oh, what's it going to feel like if I just step forward as this healer? And, it's like, well, I'm a clairvoyant. I'm a clairvoyant. And I want to keep sharing, and I don't know what that all means, and I don't know what that looks like. I honestly don't know the purpose of these videos. Not many of you at this time are watching them, and so I keep coming back to being like, well, I've just got to trust that the people who they are reaching, they are benefiting. And that can be hard without the external validation, but I think as we're coming back deeper into ourselves, we're really feeling that there's no choice but to move forward. And it's more joyful to move forward together at this point and co-create these next layers. As the internal homes get safer, the external world gets safer. As people heal, they heal other people. Instead of being in this cycle of hurt people. We're not there anymore. We're opening up and needing to do it. At least those of us who are rising in frequency and saying, all right, this is it. So there was a lot that came through here. I'd say overall the themes that we're working with are active surrender, that more so than anything involves a reverse of perspective, of trying something new, of leaning into the unfamiliar, of making bold choices and just trusting that it's all going to work out. And that goes right along with this like aggressive healer, right? It's like we've healed to the point where it's like now we're in physical therapy and we're learning how to walk again. All right. There's massive evolution happening. We're being pushed towards thresholds that we don't understand. I know for myself, it's like I can't even see the full perspective, but I am just trusting it. So I am trusting all of you to step forward on your journey, bold, brave, beautiful. We're doing it, and this is the time we've came down here for, and I'm so happy for myself to feel free enough to share and to help guide those on different stages of their journey. And I can see a hummingbird right over there right now, and a hummingbird better than the mosquito that was just flying by me. So we'll close with that message of joy. Thank you, Hibiscus. Thank you, Masculine. Thank you, all of you. And let's connect again soon. Hit me up if you want to do a reading that's specific to your situation. And right now I'm just doing that by email. And nothing crazy. Just good to connect and good to help each other ground into these energies. So I hope you're having a great time, and that you're riding these waves as gracefully and as joyfully as you possibly can. Many blessings, Aho.